All right, let me just bring myself. Hey everyone, thanks for being here today on Decisive Talks. Right, I'm Henry Ho, and I'm an entrepreneur, digital marketer, and most importantly, a software enthusiast. And today I have Abhi here. Right, he's the founder of Rytr. Right, it's a AI writing assistant tool that it's been the craze this year, and everyone online has been everyone in the community has been telling me that this is the best. This is like the best on LTD, best on lifetime deal right now. It's been heavily compared with even Jarvis, right? So everyone's saying that this is such a great deal, and especially for the early supporters, they got in at a good um good rate for the service that Rytr has provided, right? And and I'm so excited to have Abhi here to share his background with us, right? So let me bring on Abhi. Hey Abhi, how's it going?
Hey, Henry. Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's a very huge house that you have here, right? It's a very relaxing yacht that you have here. Right.
Well, not
So
exactly that, but yeah, not bad for Wednesday morning.
yeah. So Abby, tell us about yourself, where you're from, how did you get into entrepreneurship, and what did you see or experience that made you want to jump into the SaaS business? And is Writer, your first SaaS endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously heard you on the backstage, talking, praising about Rytr, what others have been saying. So clearly you've been lied to, right? There's nothing like that. but no, so, really happy to see how far we've come in a very short span of time. Rytr was only born back in, March, late March. So yeah, so before jumping to Rytr, just to give you a quick overview about myself. So I'm Abhi, founder and CEO of Rytr, and I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs help the world, through a startup platform that we are trying to build. So I have 13 years of combined experience across consulting, venture capital, and startups in US, Europe, and Asia, where I've helped build and scale multiple products, either in-house or entrepreneur-led, to six-figure ARR and millions of users before. I've also led large product and growth teams, mentored more than 100 plus founders on product growth, fundraising, hiring, and other areas of any startup. We are backed by some leading investors as well, like 500 startups, Sequoia Angels, Entrepreneur First, and a few others. So a startup guy all the way.
Awesome, awesome, right? So, one of our community members has said, I have been telling you. I think he was referring to what I said earlier, and right. So Netapo here, he says, very good too. I was surprised with the results when I
Right.
tried back then. So I'm very surprised, Abby, that you mentioned that you're involved in VC work,
Mm,
and you mentioned that you are on a mission to help startups. I'm
sure.
very interested about that. Very very curious about that. Um, could you share a little bit more, because it doesn't seem like writer is your
Mhm.
main goal, but it's
Right.
like it's part of what you want to be achieving. Could you share about what you mean by helping on startups?
Yeah, so I mean, exactly. So this was, Writer was one of the sort of areas that I personally saw early stage startups, small businesses, agencies, finding difficult to produce high quality content, because when you launch a business, there's a website, there is a blog, there is ads, all sorts of things that you have to work on. And most of the startups that I have worked with, clearly lack a sense of a high converting copy. And with this tool, our goal was to actually give folks a way to produce engaging original kind of content, which can actually uh, really position their value proposition in a much better and convincing way to the end users. So that's one thing. But I think the broad goal is, it's 2021, and I personally feel that starting up still seems to be a dreadful thought for a lot of folks. From idea validation to product development to marketing and fundraising, there are a number of things that can and do go wrong at early stages. There are a number of incubators, tools, and funds that have popped up, but I personally feel they have not be, there has not been a single platform that has become like a go-to place for, like, especially micro entrepreneurs and small businesses. I'm not talking about like valley-based startups who have access to a lot of VC funding and maybe resources. I'm talking about like globally virtual sort of startup platform. And I want to change this, right? So vision is to democratize entrepreneurship by making it easier for people to start up and build successful ventures. And with startup DNA in sort of my roots, I understand what it takes to deal with failures and then capitalize on the successes. So yeah, so Rytr is like definitely one of the core products, and then there is other sort of things that we have in the pipeline to help small businesses. And that's one of the reasons why we launched on AppSumo, because the audience is kind of very, very aligned with our long-term vision and the mission as a company.
That's awesome. You talk a little bit about financing, raising funds. Would that be your next plan?
Yeah, so that is definitely one of the products, that one of the sort of products or services, you can say, that we will have at some point to help these small businesses. See, ultimately our goal is to help them build a successful business. Writing can only take you so far, right? So maybe you can create good copies, good ads,
Yeah.
which can probably help with conversion and maybe user acquisition. But then how do you turn them into, let's say, profitable customers? What should be the pricing model? How can you build a right product experience? How do you how do you raise funds, whether in the form of revenue share or VC funding or debt capital, anything. So our goal is to sort of help all these entrepreneurs and micro businesses across the whole life cycle of their business, not just one area per se.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, right? Is that for the past couple of years, while I've been growing my business, one of the biggest thing that I had to learn was financing. And in fact, whoever is actually watching this stream right now, I would say that personally for myself, I'm actually just 31 years old this year. But last year, when I was 30 years old, I actually was able to afford two private properties, commercial properties myself, and also my own home, right? And I was able to achieve this by the age of 30 years old is because I learned about financing, right? Financing. Then I would say that those of you who are looking to create a better life for yourself, definitely you want to learn about personal finance and like your corporate financing, because that's what's going to help you to leverage on all these tools for your own personal success, I would say. And why I looked into this was because my business, my e-commerce business, right? I came from a humble background. Of course, I couldn't really compare with a lot of people here because in the community, because some of them come from much more basic beginnings, right? So myself, I come from a, I would say, like a lower than average family. I was able to so when I started growing my business, right, one of the biggest problems was how can I fund my business, because I got thousands of orders on my e-commerce store, and I've got no money to order the goods to come in to fulfill all of them, because there is a cash flow cycle, right, that we have.
Right.
With many businesses, there is a cash flow cycle. If any of you are doing like Amazon business, you when you sell stuff on Amazon, Amazon takes a while to pay you. When you pay money to the manufacturer, they take time. You got to pay money upfront. You got to wait for them to finish producing, then for them to ship over to you, and that takes a long process, right? That
Right.
takes a long process before your money comes back to you again. You are definitely going to be making money, but can you sustain while the money is waiting to reach you, right? So you share a little bit about failures and stuff like that. I'm very curious about that as well, because I believe that every the biggest how do I know if a business owner is truly someone to be respected is based on how painful their failure was, right? So could you share with me a little bit um about your failures? I mean, not failures, but maybe the lowest point of
Sure,
your
sure.
life, right? Abby.
Sure. So, gosh, I mean, where do we start? There's so many, so many, goalposts over the last few years that I can touch upon. But yeah, personally, like I've built, 6 or 7 products by now. Some downright, failures, couple of moderate successes, and rare home runs, so to say. The lowest back, I think, point was back in 2019 when I was about to shut down. The company, the money had run out, the VC money had run out. I had just become father, nothing on the horizon. And I think that at that point, if I could have easily, given up and pursued some other option, but I think I persevered, and through some means managed to sustain myself and kept the company afloat with the help of some micro SaaS products and side services. So so there is a lot of nuances to that phase in my life, but essentially that was one of the lowest points, I would say. But the key is to persist with the right attitude and keep learning from what went wrong. So if you spot a trend, build the right experience, and then market it like crazy is the formula that I managed to sort of finally stumble upon. So after a lot of attempts and learnings, I think finally managed to implement all of that in Rytr. But yeah, 2019 was definitely the lowest point in my startup journey.
Could you share a little bit about that point of time, right? 2019, when when you start to see that, yeah, things are not really working out for you. Like what did you have to cut back in your life, so that you could persevere, or like did you have any doubts in your mind, like should I still continue this, entrepreneurship? Like why am I doing this? Like have you ever questioned yourself? Like what was going through your mind and things like that? I really want to find out
Yeah,
on this.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so all the time. In fact, even sometimes now we get that thought. I mean, why? Like, you could be doing 100 different things, better things, probably less stressful,
Yeah.
easygoing. But still, I think entrepreneurship is it's an attitude, not a job, right? So I remind myself that there is a reason I took the plunge maybe 6 years ago, that this is what I want to do. So there was definitely something which was bothering me, on the other side of the world, which was really not making me happy. So the plunge was definitely right one for me. And yeah, so there was a point in 2019 when I was thinking, like, yeah, probably it's not working out. There was very limited sort of runway left. Both company as well as my personal accounts, I had to borrow some money from my family as well, to sort of keep going. And like I said, I just become father, my elder son started school, so it was a little difficult. A lot of expenses were cut down, a lot of basic necessities were kind of let go as part of that phase. But yeah, it was all for a I guess good reason in the end. But I
Yeah,
think
and yeah,
yeah, so just to, like, I think all of that can still be it's a very, very decisive phase in your life and career, I guess, when that happens. And I think it's at that point you just have to remind yourself, what is it that long term that you want to keep doing. Because I personally believe that if you stick around and if you persevere long enough, there is definitely something which will work out in some shape or form. So
yeah,
that's a general advice for entrepreneurs, not necessarily.
yeah. I just like for myself, my lowest point was I was really broke, and how I survived was I bought I buy loaves of bread, and I
Oh.
buy peanut butter,
Mm.
because I calculated, and this was probably the most tasty food that you can purchase at and I could kind of worked out, right. It probably cost me about $1 or less, like in
Mm.
Singapore dollars. So we're talking about maybe like 80 cents US dollars,
Right.
and I could survive on a meal like that. So I thought that was my best option, right? So I could just spend maybe a $2 or $3 a day,
Mm.
just to keep going, right?
I
And
can relate to that, man. Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of how and I think but that was when I was single. I wasn't really married. I wasn't married then.
Sure.
So I'm pretty impressed that you are able to overcome your challenges, because now that I'm married, and I have my own kids as well, I could imagine how that stress is actually tripled when you have kids who depend on you, and your wife would be questioning you as well, right?
Yeah.
That's
Lucky she hasn't left me, so
yeah. Yeah, definitely agree on that, right? So let's talk a little bit more about writer, right?
sure.
So the name writer, how did you came up with that?
So I mean, it's a pretty obvious, but I would say a little weird choice, because given the nature of the product, I was looking at some content writing related domains, for SEO
Yeah,
purpose, and I searched for a few options. They looked all right from the SEO perspective, but writer rhymed like writer, as in
yeah,
WRITER. So I decided that this is probably better suited, a kind of a twist on a traditional word, like a writer. And
yeah,
it also rhymes with writing, write,
yeah,
etc., which we have kind of leveraged as a verb pretty much everywhere on the product. So if you look at our app, you will see write in, which kind of resembles WRITE. If you see writing, that is like always RYTING. So I'd hope that it would become a verb at some point, so people will say, stop writing and start writing. So
yeah. That's
so
nice.
yeah, so it's more of a brand thing, and it's more of a verb. I hope that catches on at some point, once we are big enough.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? I think that's a great idea. I personally feel that like if you were to create a SaaS product, you should give a branded name on it, right? Rather than choosing something generic that works for SEO.
Right.
Because I think that if you want to survive long term, then having a brand, people remember you better. And I think that what I can see from you is that you want to create like a community, right? That
Correct.
is able to see the vision of writer, and that's a great idea. Could you share with us, where you think writer stands out from your competitors as well? Because since you're a much younger company, you're probably about 3 to 4 months old
Hmm.
only. How do you think you can compete in this niche? Because we've got like Jarvis, who's probably dominating, right? And we got Copy AI, which probably they are pretty much matched in there. And then there are a lot of tools out there that offer unlimited, right? Unlimited usage for just a one-time payment, right?
Hmm.
So how do you think you can compete in this niche?
Right. I mean, so to answer that question, I think when we launched back in April, there was already heavy competition. This space was like noisy like hell, back then also,
Yeah,
and but that didn't bother us or deter us from launching, because Brighter was born out of my own frustration. The products which were out there, they felt overwhelming, and the quality was really subpar. And there was quite a few of them, not just one or two. So we decided that we will build the highest quality, well trained output, kind of experience, which is powered by copywriting formulas from bottoms up. And then instead of just relying on OpenAI GPT-3 engine, we would give our own well refined examples and training data to actually get highest quality output. And that is reflected in the feedback that we have constantly received across the board, whether on AppSumo or other third party review sites or social media. People recognize that we are above par when it comes to quality. The second is the interface itself. Like I said, it felt very overwhelming going through the products, then switching tabs, opening multiple pages, going back and forth with the generations. So we decided to have a seamless one page experience. Just come in, give some context, choose your use case, and boom, your copy should be ready, with a very very playful interface and neat editing experience. And that's what we delivered. The third was obviously the vision. So again, everybody kind of focused on, okay, this seems like a nice cool thing to have, AI writer. But I think the vision that we have is to become an all-in-one writing platform, which can encompass the whole writing workflow. From your keyword research to content briefs to writing content, then probably checking for quality and plagiarism, and then publishing it across on different platforms. So this might replace the need to have 5 6 apps. And the last thing is the price point itself. There are a lot of folks who are charging exorbitant amount of money for similar tool, and there are ones who are actually not giving the value that is needed, and they're charging fairly low. So I think the price point that we have is super affordable and quite good value for money for anyone. And one thing which I wanted to add here is, and this is like our own philosophy as a product, we believe in ethical sort of AI writing. So a lot of tools that we have seen, whether it is unlimited tools or maybe some more expensive options like you touched upon, we don't want a writer or any AI writing tool to essentially become a sort of weapon for content factories. So people can just go out, churn content, left, right, and center, publish on different places. The world doesn't need more content; it needs better content. And I think that is where we want to go with writer. So instead of giving people just an ability to tap a button and keep generating content, we want to give them a very well sort of thought out experience, which can give them high quality content, maybe little less, but at least give them enough so that they can work on it and customize it, and then when the published output goes out, it looks like a masterpiece. So I think those are like fundamental, I think, differences between us and some of the existing tools which were there before and which are there now. Just on one point I wanted to mention, the lifetime deal, why we don't offer lifetime deals. Again, I think the quality justifies a premium in our case. There are a few players who are offering unlimited lifetime deals, but again, it's not prudent and sustainable to offer this at this stage when there is a third party dependency. Plus, I don't think it's prudent for customers either to seek such options, as it would essentially mean the developer or team like us, we have limited to no incentive to keep improving the experience after one-off sales. I'm not saying everybody does that, but I just say that the incentives are probably not aligned in those cases. So anyway, so this is essentially where we stand versus the competitors, and our view on unlimited lifetime deals.
I
Hope it
think I
makes
think
sense.
I want to bring up a little perspective, right? Is that
Sure.
um just look at the names itself, right? Writer, right? And your competitor, Jarvis, right? So writer, the name that is being thought out, right, is it comes from I would say that it comes from a perspective where it's about us, right?
Mhm,
Can you see
mhm.
that? Whereas
Right.
Jarvis is like me. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, or whatever it is, but I think the way that um that writer is about, and what Jarvis is about, is a little bit different. Like the perspective, I would say, maybe of the founders itself as well. Of course, I'm not to not I can't pass any judgment because I've never spoke to the founders of the other competitors there, right? So this is just my how I see. This is just my opinion here, right? And one more thing is that someone said this: the only difference between writer and Jarvis is a bit larger marketing team. I think that is also true as well. I would say that with your competitor, they have a the founder themselves have they are very experienced marketers. So they knew what they were doing when they go in. So they went in and they just wanted to win. So
Right.
that's what they are looking at, right? So um what do you see in the future of writer, and what excites you the most where writer is heading?
Oh, yeah. There's a number of things. I mean, that are on the roadmap and keeps us excited. The first thing which actually excites me is the direct value we are adding to the writers. In terms of saving time and money, writing high converting copies. So you can immediately see the impact on the end customer, and that is very very kind of satisfying to us as a team. The future is bright. There are many developments coming up in the next 3 to 6 months, from browser extension, to SEO features, to collaborative workflows with access management. So you can create docs, you can share the docs with your clients, you can invite your team. So like work like a collaborative sort of team on a given document. We have API in the pipeline which will allow developers to build apps on top of Rytr, like third-party apps that can leverage our API to power their own AI writing experience in their apps. Then we have plugins which might be native to different platforms like Shopify, WordPress, and there is a whole developer marketplace also that we are thinking about. So people can build apps on top of Rytr itself, more like Rytr plugins that writers can install and make their experience better. So there are a lot of very quality sort of features or developments which are in the pipeline. And like I said, our vision is not to become a one trick pony kind of solution. It's rather than a product, we are thinking like a platform. So how can we turn this into all-in-one AI writing platform so people don't need 5-10 different apps to work for their writing workflow.
Awesome, right? I think one thing that you mentioned about sharing and collaboration between your clients and your team, I think that's a great one.
Mm,
What I because I'm actually looking at your roadmap here, right? And
mm,
I'd like to bring up a suggestion. I'm not sure
sure.
if that's fine with you. Is that one thing that I
Oh,
find about me using all these AI tools, because I've got a couple of them myself
mhm.
as well. I think everyone here has a couple of them as well. So, one thing that I find with all of them is that there is nothing that allows me to do annotations and editing between team members
Right.
within the app itself. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it might be something that's a little bit difficult to implement. So what happens is that I still at the end of the day write all the content on Google
Mm,
Documents.
got it.
So
Yeah.
I think that's something that is kind of missing, right?
Right.
I mean, this is just a suggestions from me. That's all, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. So, if it's not confidential as well, sorry, because I think you covered this as well. So, could you share a little bit more about your team? How many developers, customer support, or designers that you have? How are they like? Do they keep you motivated? Because sometimes some of your team members are very excited and they get you going as well. You might come into the office and you're like, I just want to take it easy today, and then you see your team members coming up to you and say, boss, I've done this and this, all right, and they just kind of keep you moving, maybe help you to create the vision of writer that you have. And maybe are there any fun activities or company culture that you guys have as well?
So yeah, here is a fun fact. So we have built Rytr completely remotely. There was just two of us actually full time, me and my co-founder Atul, who's been a rock star, in building the product and getting it in the hands of customers. So it's just two of us working completely remote for the last 4 months. We just onboarded another amazing team member who works on the customer support and marketing side, and again completely remote for now. So the office culture is basically WhatsApp culture right now. So we have a common group, and we keep bouncing off ideas, share the excitement with each other, any numbers going up, any any things which are not working out, any customer issues. So yeah, so the culture is like hard to build, I guess, in the current environment. But hopefully when things are back to normal, then we can have more water cooler discussions, retreats, and going out with the whole team.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of team, I mean, it's just three of us, and pretty proud of what we have done, to be honest, as a team so
Yeah, I
far.
think that's amazing. Like you guys can achieve so much with just a team of two or three, right? Um, could you share what are some challenges or hurdles that your company is occupied with currently?
Uh, Good question. I mean, so, there is always, so right now, I mean, we are just bombarded with customer requests, to be honest. Like, we literally have no bandwidth to look at other areas. and second thing is the new features. So there is a constant roadmap review we do, and sort of try to prioritize the features. So yeah, but it's the customer requests and obviously the features that are requested by people, on top of the day-to-day sort of support issues, is what we are grappling with. There is obviously a lot of drawbacks when you're growing at more than 150% month over month. So a lot of yeah, issues pop up.
Right. So it's more like being overwhelmed and needing some
Yeah,
time to filter and sort the
yeah,
priorities, right? So
correct.
how do you feel about launching a lifetime deal, right? Because you've got something that's on right now. I think it's 50,000 character words
That's
that you
right.
can generate. How do you feel about launching a lifetime deal?
Yeah, it's 50,000 characters, and yeah, it's been a good experience, Henry. It may not be a profitable sort of channel eventually, but we got tons of high quality customers and feedback in the early days. And like I reinforced when we started, that the intention was to acquire the right set of audience which we wanted, which is to small sort of businesses, agencies, entrepreneurs, micro businesses, startups, which is kind of the core audience on AppsFumo. So we wanted to acquire them, learn from them, and build an experience which is tailored to their needs. So pretty happy that we did that. And the kind of success we've had on AppsFumo, it's absolutely unparalleled and pretty rewarding, to be honest. That said, that a lot of product launches fail on lifetime deal platforms. We had to do a lot of things right to make it work, whether it was customer service, dealing with positive and negative sort of issues early on, managing reviews and rewards, doing some email engagement, reaching out one on one, personally giving Sumo Links a right experience, was really critical, I guess, in the early days to earn the trust. And we are very, very privileged that folks showed the trust in us and faith in us, and we hope to keep delivering on that faith going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking at your deal right now, and I'm really amazed. Right, you got 405 reviews right now, 405 reviews, and you are a marketplace deal, right? I think that's amazing. Like what you guys have done. I don't think that many marketplace deals that have achieved such success so far. So so how do you feel about the lifetime deal community, right? The LTD community, have they been giving you a lot of trouble?
No, it's all for the bigger cause. Yeah, definitely. So I think it can get rough at times with the expectations, but I have enjoyed the folks keeping us on our toes all the time. It's because of I think their love and hate, maybe, that we have come this far. And like I said, we are honored to have a lifetime deal supporters as early adopters, and we actually, to be honest, if you look back now in time, the deal we offered was like once in a lifetime, if you think about it, from right, as Rytr goes, I guess, going forward. So we want to keep honor those commitments. We want to honor the promises that we have made to the lifetime deal community, because we are always grateful for the initial support and cheerleading, I guess, they did for us.
Yeah, I think that the launching a lifetime deal is such a great experience, because you get a lot of users, right, that give you tons of feedbacks, and you don't get that from anywhere else. Like I think we are kind of weird in the sense that we are testing your product, and we're still paying you money. I mean, we pay you a one-time fee, but we're testing your product as well and giving you tons of feedback.
Right.
And if you run like a subscription plan, you just don't get a lot of feedback from those customers. For some reason, they just pay and they just use your tool for what it is, right? And
Hmm.
they just don't really help you to explore more
Correct.
use cases, so that you can actually market your tool to a different demographic that you might not have even thought of before.
Hmm.
Right, and
Right.
I think the awesome thing about working with the lifetime deal community, right? So,
Absolutely.
in the So we have mentioned this a little bit, right? We've got competitors. They are
Hmm.
offering, that they are doing really well out there, and then we got some competitors that are offering unlimited
Hmm.
generations, right? So, what would you say to people who are actually considering about Rytr right now? Like, why would I want to look at Rytr? Because I've got this and it does everything. It's unlimited. I don't have to think about, if I'm hitting my limits at all. I can just
Hmm.
generate, and I don't have to worry, right? What would you say to people like that
Hmm.
who are looking at a better deal in terms of the deal limits itself, right? What
Okay.
would you say to people like that?
Right. So, I think I touched upon it a little bit in the previous sort of question, but I'll just reinforce that, the unlimited deal or unlimited characters are probably not that helpful if you're going to get, garbage output back from the tool. You can keep generating and probably keep wasting your time, but if it's not going to help, look nice on your sort of use cases, whether it is blog or maybe ads, or it probably end up spending more time iterating through a lot of outputs, and then wasting I guess effort in getting the copy that you want. So I guess think from a quality perspective. Again, as an entrepreneur, your time is precious, right? That's why we build the tool like this. So we don't want you to get sucked into the unlimited kind of lure, because based on our data, and by the way, we did a lot of analytics on what number feels right for this lifetime deal. And we realized after looking at some of the data points that you know people don't even end up using 50,000 characters per month. So almost 80% of Sumo links or lifetime deal buyers have only used around 50% of their limits. So that shows us that if you give them like really high quality output, they end up getting what they want quickly, and they might not even need those unnecessary limits in the first place. And the limits that we have in place are just to avoid, let's say, heavy users or sort of abuse or misuse of the service in some extent. And that's where we encourage people to just sign up and become a paid user, so you support the service. We get a sustainable, healthy income stream, so that we can keep rolling out awesome features and experiences going forward for everyone, which will benefit all of us. So that's what I would say. I would encourage lifetime deal buyers that yes, the deal is there. Definitely, if your usage is lightweight, you should go for it. You will get quality outputs, which should help you with your basic needs for sure. But if your usage is heavy, then you should consider the unlimited plan with a very nominal monthly price, and support us so we can help you back in return.
Yeah, I think that's great, right? Because like you said, right, I actually very amazed that you mentioned that 80% use at least 50% of the limits. I think that's
Right.
amazing, right? Because the truth is most people 80% don't even use the tools itself, right? So for Rytr, it's the opposite, right? What's actually happening with Rytr? I think you guys are I think this deal limit, it makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Especially for my community, right? Because my community is, it's all about using our LTDs, right? Using
Right.
our tools that we have bought, and so many of us are buying tools, and we just leave it, collecting digital dust somewhere. Right? And I think the 80% of you using Rytr, those of you who are using Rytr right now, who have Rytr using it right now, kudos to you, right? So I have a question over here. I don't think that this is necessary to ask you, but I would like to ask it anyway, because you've got I would say a limited deal, right? And I think that helps to safeguard writers' interest, as well
Hmm.
as the lifetime deal holders' interest as well. But I would like to ask this anyway, right? So we understand that every startup founder would love to have a glorious exit. I'm sure you have
Hmm.
seen that in your career, your long
Sure.
career in the SaaS business as well. But many of them have have sort of abandoned lifetime license owners, such as PySync, which will be ending their service end of this year. We've got Headline that is just a dormant a tool right
Sure.
now. So
Hmm.
while some startups fail and are not able to keep up with the maintaining of their services, which we understand, right? But those who succeed as well, seem to abandon the supporters as well, right? So, what is your perspective on this? And would you be putting down any conditions if, let's say, Rytr gets acquired? Then the lifetime license owners are protected. If so, what would they be? Could you share on your thoughts on this?
Right, and that's exactly what I was referring to, Henry, earlier. That
Yeah.
there is no incentive for developers and teams when they sell lifetime deals, one-off sales. That's it, and they can move on easily to other things. Uh, and that's why it's prudent for customers to have this monthly subscription option. So we are always under the leash, to make sure that the experience keeps improving, the features are added, so that we can justify charging a monthly fee, right? So that's definitely there. But I think in terms of the existing users, in the unlikely scenario of, let's say, we getting acquired, by the way, I can confirm there is nothing like that on the horizon, at least as far as I know. So you are the ones who brought us here, and regardless of what happens in the future, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that you keep what was promised to you in the lifetime deal. Or our actually so internally, my goal is to actually give you better than what you're offered right now. Maybe give more mileage to your quota, maybe increase your credits some point. And trust me, we are working very hard to make sure that there is more value for money. How can we improve your sort of writing experience even more? And our support and our sort of love is always there for lifetime deal buyers, and we'll make sure that that is taken care of right now as well as in future, regardless of what happens. I mean, I would not say ever, because that's a very, very, I think, misleading statement, and can set false expectations unnecessarily. But what I can say is that you have my word and promise that you will be looked after in any case. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I feel that because you have a limited lifetime deal here, right? Limited deal. I think that's it becomes that we lifetime deal owners no longer become a burden for your company as well.
Right.
So it becomes easier to manage, I'll say. And one thing that I feel is that if let's say I run a SaaS and I have lifetime license holders, and how I would sort of manage it is I would tell the acquirer that, hey, if you acquire me and you are going to end the service, right, you got to compensate
Sure.
these people, right? You got to compensate these people, and I can write that in the deal terms itself, and that way I can sort of ask for a higher price for my company itself, right? And I think that makes sense, and it makes my exit even more beautiful because I can ask for a bigger package, right? So
Right.
we have a question here.
Yeah, sure.
It says, if Writer gets acquired, will the contract be written in Writer?
Right.
Of course, what I'll say is that Abhi, he can say whatever he wants right here, right now. But at the end of the day, we won't be the ones seeing what the deal agreement is. But would you care to give us an answer? Would you
Right.
like to answer this question?
Yeah, absolutely. See, I mean, I don't see any reason for you to, worry about this particular topic, to be honest, because, like I said, your interest is our top priority. Regardless of how far we go, how big we become, I will ensure personally that you are looked after. Whether it's in our own in-house developments or strategies, or product roadmap or marketing plans going forward, you will always have what you been promised. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And it's my intention to make sure that in the unlikely scenario, like I said, I don't know why people keep thinking that we will get acquired. Hopefully we will acquire somebody else, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think
uh,
that's still better.
so regardless of what happens in the future hypothetical scenarios, you have my words that you will be taken care of. Your lifetime deal will be taken care of in some shape or form. or you will get compensated so that you don't feel shortchanged, that you were just
Yeah, I
left to
think
die
that's
on your own.
yeah, I think that's a very good answer, right? The whole idea is that we won't be shortchanged. We won't
Right.
be we just want to be treated fairly. That's all, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the that is a great idea because with Writer it's a limited deal, and if you need more limits, you can subscribe to their plan. And when developers like Abhi and Atul, who's the co-founder as well, when they see the money coming in, right, that's a great motivation, right? So I mean, you just think about it, 3 years later, 5 years later, when you have a business that is still making money for you, would you still show up to work? Right, I'm sure you would, right? So
Exactly.
and that's why, with a plan like Writer, the tool itself continues to get better and better, right?
Yeah, yeah, Henry.
Right.
Just one more thing I wanted to add here, just to
Yeah.
provide that assurance. See, like I said, this is not a one-off, adventure for me or us personally, right? We want to leverage this community for bigger things as well. So it would be our loss if we did some harm, or be unfair to these guys in any shape or form. So we want to make sure we help them, because our reputation is on the line as well. It's not just about money. I
Yes,
want to
that's
make
very good.
sure I
Yeah.
want to make sure that the folks here, the lifetime deal buyers here, can trust me personally, so that I can keep delivering awesome value to them,
Yeah.
in any shape or form. So
Yeah.
it's
Because
more about trust. Yeah.
because your bigger plan is to help startups, right? Help
Correct.
entrepreneurs, right? And you have more products in mind to roll out in years to come. So
Sure.
Writer is just one of that product to help us entrepreneurs, right? So if and I'm sure you're gonna be tapping onto our community again when you have
For
new
sure.
ideas popping up as well. So just damaging your reputation here is of course not a good idea, right?
Right.
So otherwise, I think I've pretty much asked all the questions that I need. We have some questions from the community itself.
Sure.
Would you like to take them? Let
Yeah.
me
Fire
just
away.
bring that up.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got a question here that says, can Writer produce good content in the personal finance niche?
It should be able to. I mean, there's no reason why it can't. The only sort of limitation which you mentioned is that OpenAI has the training data till October 2019. So any latest events or news stories that you're trying to generate content for, post October 2019, you may not get good results. Other than that, if there are any sort of specific niches where you feel the content is lacking, that's just the nature of the web. So if the niche itself is very thin, you won't find much content, the AI to be able to write much
Yep.
content. But personal finance is a pretty broad domain, and I don't see any reason why writers shouldn't be able to give you good outputs.
Yeah. So if it's like if you are trying to write something that's of a very new topic, maybe like a new let's say touch
Let's
with
say
a
COVID. Yeah.
new disease or something like that, where
Correct.
there isn't much content, then there's nothing for the AI to work with, right? But I
Correct.
think personal finance is quite a broad
Right.
topic, like what Abby has said. So
Right.
it shouldn't have any issue there. Another question from here is, does AI generated content find harder to rank higher in the? I guess he's asking about in the search results, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
So I think, like, I wouldn't, you know, see, bot won't be able to distinguish the final output from whether it was written by AI or by you. And anyways, like, we encourage users to use AI writing assistant to give them the nudge, the push they need to get the copywriting or content writing done. So you're expected to review and edit the outputs as you go. And once the out, and of course you can check for plagiarism as well using our native built-in plagiarism checker powered by Copyscape to make sure the output content is completely authentic and original. And once you're happy, then you publish it. So there is no reason why Google would see that content differently to what is published by a human writer, because at the end of the day, it's a human writing, human reviewing, and human editing. And if the quality is good, it will stand out anyway.
Yeah, I agree on that. Google will not be able to tell whether this is written by a human or AI at all, right? So they just Google just makes the judgment based on the final result itself,
At
and
least for
I
now,
think
yeah.
yeah, at least for now. And Joe here also suggests that you want to use Writer to write for you, then optimize for SEO using a different tool, right? Maybe like Surfer SEO itself. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's see. Okay, we've got another question here. Will you include SEO features standalone add-ons, or will it be included for LTD users as well? So it was asked. You mentioned about adding some SEO features.
Right.
Could you expand on this?
Yeah. So again, like one thing I want to say is that our intent has always been to offer access to all the features to everyone, regardless of whether you're a free plan user or AppSumo user or a premium user. It doesn't matter. We want to give you full value for your experience and evaluate for yourself whether it meets your needs or not. We are never in favor of firewall kind of content or paywall kind of features. It just doesn't give the user the experience they should be getting after using a product full value. So yes, our intention is to offer it to all of you, the SEO features least, and other ones also that we have in the pipeline. There might be limitations for sure, like the 50,000 characters one, but other than that, I think you should be able to access all of them without any restriction per se.
Okay, so that means what Abby is saying right here is that all the features should be accessible to all of us, except that you have a due limit, which is 50,000
Correct,
characters, right?
correct,
All right.
correct.
So we got another question here is um so Artit here. He says he missed the early discounted yearly subscription. Any
Hmm.
chance to bring it back for us watching the stream? I think I would say that this may be a request for me as well. Is that would you be able to offer a good deal to everyone who's actually on the sidelines right now, and they actually just caught on about Rytr, and they want to jump in, but um they want a good deal out of it. Would that be
Right.
possible?
So yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to, and by the way, you are not the first one, and the folks here are not the first ones to ask for this thing, right? We have had hundreds, if not thousands of folks reach out to us in the last 1.5 month, asking for the previous deal, and trust me, we have refused almost everyone. And the reason for that is it is unfair to folks, and giving exclusively to you or maybe few folks here would be unfair to all those hundreds of other ones that we have refused. And plus, I think we want to, again, like I said, integrity and sort of ethics are pretty high in our case, and I want to make sure that what we promised to our early adopters, the AppSumo buyers, they had faith in us, they had trust in us, and they backed us back in April or maybe in early May. And we want to give them that exclusivity. We want to give them that special feel that because you backed us, when there was nobody else, you deserve this, and nobody else will be able to get the same discount as you did. So I think it's a fair thing from that perspective. But if you reach out to me, we'll try our best to help you in some shape or form, but definitely not going back to that plan or that discount as such. But we'll see what we can do. Just email me at abhi@rytr.me.
Awesome, right? Would you be able to share with us right now in terms of the new as in the plan, the yearly plan right now? What's the cost of it right now?
Sure. So if you are looking through the lifetime deal lens, then you pay one off $39, get 50,000 characters per month, and then on top of that, you can use a code AppSumo30, which will allow you to get 30% off on the premium plan, which otherwise costs you $290 per annum and $29 per month. So with the code, you just $20.3 per month and $203 per annum.
Awesome, awesome. Right, that's still a a good deal compared to whatever's out there, right?
For sure.
I think pretty much I have asked all the questions that I want to ask, and all the community questions has been
Yeah.
asked answered as well. Do you have anything else to share before we end off the stream?
I mean, you guys are awesome. Keep rocking, and yeah, just be a little gentle if you can. But no, I think thanks for all the love and support from the Lifetime Deal community. Henry, and all the folks who have attended the webcast. It was great having here. And if you have any questions, any issues, always around. Just reply to me directly, or reach out to me directly at abhi@rytr.me, and I'll do my best to help you in any way we can.
Awesome. Right. Thanks, Abby. That's all we have, right? Those of you who are watching the stream, thanks so much for being here. And whoever has missed this, you guys can watch the recording as well on YouTube. And that's all I have. Thanks, Abby, for
Thanks, Henry.
being here on the show. And maybe in the future we can have you come back and share with us more about your updates as well. All right. Thanks,
Looking forward
Abby.
to. All right, Henry. Cheers.